Cybersecurity?
Yeah, it's like risk management. Like, yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
That's like the up and coming, like, super important, big booming part of IT right now.
To go into it, and I'm thinking I might because you can make a fuck ton of money.
It's very profitable. Oh, we're live?
Hello, world.
You fired. Yes. Yes. Again, we are going to talk about Donald Trump. What has he done this time? Well, nothing specific, but we are going to take a no-holds-barred look at the Donald Trump presidency so far. All the good, all the bad. So get ready to shit-talk Baron Trump, and welcome to another episode of the Bermuda Triangle Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bermuda Triangle Podcast, where interesting topics get lost in good conversation. I'm your host Alex and the posse. Adam. What up? Travis.
What's up?
And Carl.
Namaste.
Namaste.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
It's actually really good to be back. We only took a small little break, but it feels like it was like 3 months, TBH.
It does. It really does feel like it was a much longer break.
We're on episode 39 and a half, apparently.
No, I retitled the old document that. So yeah, speaking of 39 and a half, we had some issues. We would have had another episode. We would have released one last week. Yeah, we would have. We had some technical difficulties. So if anyone has followed us, we did go on a live stream for the first time. Yes. Kind of like a surprise, and it was a test. And good damn thing it was a test. Actually, it worked out on YouTube. It worked out on YouTube, but all the actual recorded audio didn't really work out. But we actually just discovered tonight that we actually are going to be recovering that audio, and you will get to hear that episode. Yay! It's good. It's good. Like that should be going up on Apple or I can't think. On
Apple
Apple
Podcasts. You're listening to this one right now.
Yeah, wherever you're hearing this shit now, you're going to hear that too. And we apologize for the delay. We're not that sorry, but we kind of are. No, if it's going to go up probably tonight.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Hashtag sorry. Yeah, it's been a little crazy. But you know what? We're back. Let's take a moment first and thank our sponsors. Yeah, so let's talk about Blue Frog Party Club. I know you guys have heard us mention it over the past couple weeks. We got a kit in for St. Paddy's Day, and it's actually really awesome. This is actually the first time we're actually going through the kit, so I kind of wanted to just take a look at it. But you can go to bluefrogpartyclub.com. You can use the promo code, is it Bermuda, at checkout, and you can receive 10% off your first order. But, man, these kits are dope as shit. It has, like, a full booklet of, like, all the things you can do for a party, recipes, games, different cocktails you can make.
I think it's the details that I like about it. Like, it has, like, all the little cards. Like, it has little cards, like, for all your different appetizers. So it has, like, a little card you can put out so that people that are trying to eat from the appetizer, it has a little like title there, and then it has invitations to give out to people, and then menus.
You can really tell there was a lot of thought into it, and that's paramount because that's all the work you don't have to do now when you want to throw a party. It's amazing. You know my least favorite thing to do, Adam, when I'm trying to throw a party? Is plan shit. Plan shit. Going shopping. You know what? I hate shopping. And in there's a list with everything I need to buy to make everything in the box. Everything in the box, all the appetizers and drinks. You literally can just go to the grocery store with this one piece of paper and purchase everything that you need. It comes with invitations, cocktail drinks, food drinks, games, conversation pieces. You can get T-shirts, posters. I mean, literally, you can buy everything that you need for a party. It's literally all in the kit. So again, go over to bluefrogpartyclub.com. Use promo code Bermuda. Receive 10% off your first order. They're coming out with a kit for Cinco de Drinko or Cinco de Mayo. So get that. That takes care of everything you need for a party. So yeah, bluefrogpartyclub.com. I'm excited to party. Yeah. Well, as we alluded to in the opening there, Adam, a little bit today.
The
Don.
Don.
The Don.
Dawn.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of what we just want to do. Like, we talk about like politics in general and, the president as it relates to like current events and stuff like that. But we kind of wanted to just do a sort of just look at everything that's been going on, good, bad, positive, negative, and just sort of kind of recap the Trump presidency. What are we, like a year and a few months? A little over a year into the presidency. A lot of folks thought he'd be impeached by now. CNN certainly did.
They still do.
They still do. They still do.
You mean it's not a nothing burger?
We're a year and some change in, and we still don't have any valid Russia investigation shit. Like nothing's sort of come out that's sort of
Well, the House Intelligence Committee found that there was no Russian collusion.
Yeah, they did release.
CNN was just like, well, it was probably Russian bots that were part of that investigation. So there's Russian collusion into that.
Yeah, so I really feel like CNN's trying to say, well, okay, so we weren't wrong. It was really this other thing. So we're still kind of right. Like they're just not wanting to they're not wanting to admit that this was basically nothing.
For me, it's always seemed like since day one, CNN has been doubling down on the fuck Donald train.
Oh yeah.
Like
a lot of news media has. I mean, not just CNN. I mean, MSNBC.
But that's what makes him so crazy. It's like before, everyone had this it was a weird thing when he got elected or when he announced his his run for presidency. It's like everyone knew who he was and they kind of liked him, and he had done things for like different minority communities and stuff. He's won awards in minority communities, and then as soon as that presidency run, he said, "Oh, I'm going to run for president. Oh, I'm going to try. I'm not going to take it serious." Boom! Everyone flipped the script on him. Hardcore.
Yeah,
hardcore.
And it's kind of interesting you note that. Not that I want to get too far away from the Trump presidency, but this also happened when Oprah Winfrey has sort of talked about her interest in possibly running. Like that was one thing that was sort of questioned is like, as a media person, like most people like Oprah Winfrey. She does all these great things.
She's a great orator.
Yeah, she's a very positive person. She's a great role model for a lot of people. She's super filthy fucking rich. But like the moment that you, and this was happened exactly with Donald Trump, the moment that you sort of say, okay, now I'm legitimately going to run for political office, the floodgates open up. You are now at the no holds bar. Like everyone's gonna talk about the very negative things. They're gonna throw a bunch of
I think South Park did a really good job on Donald Trump and
using Mr. Garrison.
Yeah, using Mr. Garrison or is it Mr. Garrison? This is switching. Yeah. It's flips. Yeah, but the way they had that character just going through it and going through the whole process, and they're just like, oh shit. The reality's finally setting in by the end of it, and it's just like you can almost picture it in his mind at the same time. But
well, I think the last thing I'd say on all the stuff you were mentioning about like the Russian collusion and how we think he should have been impeached already. The Russian collusion documents and everything they were finding was just like 4 guys on Instagram with a couple thousand followers.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And some Trump ads and stuff. And then they find out, oh wait, they were doing it for both sides, and they were even doing it for Jill Stein.
I mean,
and it was like, well, how can we really like take this seriously?
It was just, I think they found that a lot of the quote unquote political ads that were on Facebook during the election and stuff, like a lot of that was just people in foreign countries trying to make money. Yeah. Like they weren't trying to influence the election. They were just, the election was happening, so that's what the zeitgeist was on the internet, and so they were trying to do these political ads to make money, not to influence people.
And to say that there's none of the other, political candidates were not involved in anything insidious, possibly, I think is a little, naive. It's a little
of course.
I mean,
like if you think that your elected official at that level is running entirely with best intentions, it's like
get off your moral high horse.
Yeah, and it was actually funny because the point that you were talking about earlier, how it was just like a bunch of fringe people or stuff like that. I was actually literally talking about that in my class before my test. Like we were kind of mentioning how the bots or like really what Twitter and Facebook's sort of, I won't necessarily say it's like an inside motive or goal is to, it almost seems though as if like these social media platforms are taking fringe
ideas or fringe people and sort of making that seem as if it is the majority.
Very true.
Which, and someone literally made the point, if you talk to somebody, and we've said this before too, when you talk to somebody on the street or, your neighbor, it's like no one thinks any of these things.
They're very centrist. They're very moderate. More people are moderate than they are crazy sides.
Yeah, exactly. But you would never guess that looking at Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, whatever.
Right now,
yeah. Well, we can go down that road if you want.
Give me just a moment. I have one last thing I want to throw in while we're in this. Is the next thing that they're writing to try and impeach Trump? Is he's this sex offender with this porn star?
Hasn't he settled a few of these cases already?
What's her name again? I forgot.
Oh, I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but he did settle a case with another. I guess. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? He settled a case for a few $1 million, and then she's like,
it's the same. It's the same one he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stormy. Yeah, that's it.
So
Didn't she say like it was okay? Yeah.
Stormy Daniels $20 million to like just stop and go away.
Yeah.
But they had like consensual sex. It was nothing like odd or.
Was he married?
She's just coming out. Yes. Yeah.
Also.
No one's looking at Donald Trump going, "This is my
No. I did
Well,
not.
I mean,
that.
one aspect I didn't know this, and it's not like a big bomb drop or anything like that. I just from listening to media outlets, I just didn't hear this mentioned. So when I learned it, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But this is actually like 5, 6 years or 8 years, like some good time ago. It's not way before he was president, way before he was even looking at political office. Not to necessarily excuse it, but like when I was hearing it, I was thinking, shit, this was like last week.
So I just want to make a quick point. Like, I don't think we're all here trying to defend Donald Trump, and I hope it's not coming across that. But I think what we're trying to illuminate is this idea that this whole process of the presidency has changed, like the way the media has handled everything. It's completely changed than any other president I've ever seen. Maybe George Bush had a little bit like that, and Obama did it sometimes. But this is just crazy how, the mainstream, whatever you want to call it, the media, the press, everything, all that, is just completely railing on an elected official and kind of like throwing everyone, the American people, under the bus. And we've created these factions between almost like a West Coast, East Coast kind of thing, and left everyone in the middle to just, we're not American anymore. We're deplorables.
Or, I mean, name any sort of negative title. I mean, whether you're on the left or the right, like you're in that bucket of whatever that negative title is. So, if you voted for Donald Trump, you're a racist, homophobe, bigot, you're stupid, whatever. And then if you're on the left, you're, blah, 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 and whatever. It's just we've really reached, I feel like a paradigm shift in the way that we view politics, not only of the politicians, but of one another, like of what people in the everyday sort of people that you work with, people that you go to school with, whatever. It's just like we went through this cycle. I feel that for a long time, talking about politics in public was sort of like the taboo topic that you're really not supposed to talk about,
especially at work.
But then it seems like we've kind of just went away with that. Like people were just talking about it out in the open, but now it sort of seems like it's gone back into that cave because, if you were to sort of give any hint about who you may have voted for or what side you may lean to, now you're the sexist, homophobe, rapist, or, condoning rape or whatever.
I'd like to say something. It's not that. It's that we feel that way because we're not crazy leftists and we're not Republicans either. And
well, yeah, but
we get attacked as though we're crazies.
But that's what I'm saying is that, just as I'm not saying that you're.
The left has dominated the culture.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like the left is calling the right those things and the right is calling the left, crazy, progressive idiots. Like it just goes back and forth.
But I wanted to add something real quick. It was really sad because I overheard a guy talking. I was at a coffee shop and I was sitting there outside and two guys were talking. I heard one guy was saying, "Oh, I had a friend so and so. I forgot. He said his name, and he's like, "Oh, he voted. He told me he voted for Donald Trump, and it's like, I haven't talked to him ever since he told me that. Like, I haven't talked to him in for 3 months or something like that." And I was like, that was just really sad to hear.
It's so sad
that your political positioning can end a friendship because it sounded like he knew the guy for a while.
Well, I just think it's sad that people look at the world in black and white like that.
Yes.
That they're just. can write somebody off completely for voting against their own personal beliefs.
Or just merely having a different opinion, whatever that is.
If you're online now, my friend was showing me a few social media pages or dating or something, and it says, like, if you voted for Trump, don't talk to me.
Oh, yeah, I see that all the time.
That's insane.
See, but that, like, if you... I guess if we were to sort of draw a line, so let's just say, we have, a line. You draw a line literally in the middle. Mm-hmm. The middle is the middle of politics, the middle road, and then you have, the left and the right. Mm-hmm. So that person is saying that everyone that is on the far extremes of the right and the person that's just like a C-hair right of center is just as bad as the person far on the right. Like, that's what that person is saying, but saying, if you voted for Donald Trump, don't even talk to me. Like, they're putting all those people in that same bucket of the farthest extremes of the right.
I feel like what's wrong with our political system is the spectrum in general, and the fact that the spectrum only has the two sides. Like, it's either you're on the left, you're on the right, or you're center. Like,
but even center,
there needs to be more opinions out there. There needs to be more discussion. There needs to be, more parties.
Like, so the government...
More parties? Like Blue Frog Party Club?
Yeah. hey.
That's a good plug. But I found out recently there are 5 sanctioned parties that are government sanctioned. There's the Constitutionalist Party, there's the Libertarian Party, the Democrats, the Republicans, and the Green Party.
What about the Libertarian Party?
Yeah, the Libertarian. I mentioned that, yeah. I just found out about the Constitutionalist Party. Didn't know that was
but
thing.
You would never know. But you also, like, here's one thing.
Hear about it.
Well, speaking of political parties, one of the biggest issues that I've always, like, just looked at and just, like, why? The debate committee or whatever that committee that is that gets that puts all the debates on and whatnot.
What's going to bring the most viewership is what they're thinking.
But the problem is that doesn't represent all of the different factions or different ideas or political parties. It literally only represents 2 of the 7 or however many there are. And, like, there's some people, what was that dude's name that was the Libertarian candidate? Gary Johnson. He wasn't even allowed to be in the debate.
Because he didn't win a percentage of
but what does it matter? Like, let the man be on stage to hear the ideas. And then if I, as the voter, say, actually, you know what? I actually like that idea.
I mean, shit, they can have 17 people on stage, but they can't have 3 people on.
Yeah,
really?
I definitely think you should narrow it down. Like, let's not have a free for all and like a battle royale up on stage. But like,
if the government
what's wrong
5,
with 4 or 5 or at least?
In my opinion, if you're able to pull at a double-digit percentage of the American populace in a legitimate poll, you should be able to get on stage with any. Oh
well, that's what I'm saying. Because then Johnny off the street could just walk on and be like, "Yo, I'm running for president, bitch."
But Gary Johnson was in the double-digit polls.
Oh, easily,
and they weren't allowing him on stage.
There should be some way to determine, like, in some faction, like, okay, this is like a legitimate candidate, not just like the hillbilly, from West Indiana or something like that just got up there and was like, "Oh, I'm running for president today."
Well, I mean, we could spend a lot of time. We could probably do a whole episode on what we think we should.
Yeah, I was about to go off on a tangent.
Yeah, it's okay.
I want to kind of pull it back down to the Don a little bit.
Yeah, let's get back to the Don.
Like, let's talk about things that we think are okay. So again, I want to kind of follow up with Carl before I go into this section. I guess is that I hate defending Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I hate it. But I have
But
to do
why?
it so much because the left is just getting out of.
So explain why. You hate. Yes.
I mean,
and then we can add on to that.
I didn't vote for this man. I would never have voted for this man.
Well, tell us why. Tell us. Okay.
I mean, he is not a suitable president, and anyone in this country can acknowledge that. Do I hate everything he is doing? No. Do I hate a lot of what he's doing? Yes. Do I rant hysterically how much I hate him and lose my mind and freak out every minute he does something? No. He's like, I feel like I am forced to defend him almost. And I'm sure we've all kind of said this at some point, is that we've kind of lost this ability to just like see reasonably into issues, and everything's kind of hyper hysteria about everything he tweets, everything he does. We just got to get used to it. Look, he says crazy shit. Like, we're just going to have to get used to Donald Trump saying crazy stuff.
At least for the next 2.5 years.
But what's funny is, like,
policy-wise, he's got some not bad policy.
What's funny is previous presidents, like, say, for example, Andrew Jackson, they would say the exact same thing. They'd say just as hysterical shit, but they just didn't have the platform to say it. They didn't have the widespread media, like, tweeting and stuff.
Well, but I think
for the age, I mean, for the age.
Trump said something like
it's bravado.
Son of a bitch or something
It's his bravado. It's his personality.
I think there's one thing in the things that you're saying, and I think it's a different thing to how you're saying those things.
Oh, it's true. It's
and that's one thing that at least nobody now today will ever know is like, okay, yes, some of the messages may be similar in their content from what maybe previous presidents have said, but the way that he's saying it is just kind of like, let's not. That didn't really come across very well.
But I think it's part of his charm, though.
I wouldn't call it charm.
I mean, like the way he's able to get
his draw.
It's his draw. Yeah, I mean, that's part of how he got elected.
It's part of his character. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, okay. It's part of his character. But I feel like that's what drew people to him is the fact that he was shaking shit up.
Because he spoke in the populist manner, where it's very easy to discern what he wanted when he said. He reiterated points very well and. Well, not necessarily very well, but he reiterated points, so it drove into your brain what he was talking about, and it made it easy. It's very comprehensible. I mean, of course, all these scientists and linguists will say, "Oh, this guy is just speaking on a 6th grade, 7th grade level," but there was a reason. I really think he's playing games. He's playing politics games, and he's doing it for a reason, like George W. Bush did. If you go back in time to George W. Bush in his Texas governor days when he's giving a speech out, eloquent. No hint of stumbling, no like maybe old age or anything. He was right on the money. But now when you go back and listen to his presidential speeches, it's like, what is going on in his brain? There's like a rock rolling around in his brain. He's fumbling.
His State of the Union a few weeks back.
Donald Trump's? Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, get through this. Or at first, all the clapping. Can we get rid of the clapping in the State of the Union?
Well, the State of the Union is
Well, that's what
pointless.
makes it like fucking 3 hours long.
3 hours long. Like, we could literally just say it in 20 minutes. The whole thing could be said. And then he like has to bring out all these trophies to show people. Like, hey, look at this young man who's
using
doing
people.
Something with, and look at this service veteran who saved some people. And, and then...
Were you talking shit about veterans now, bro?
No, it's just like,
just kidding.
What's the point? Like, no one is in there going like,
this is
that guy. Like,
it's literally just like stroking yourself. That's really all it is. It's like stroking your own ego, like basically fluffing yourself up. Like,
but
I don't want to watch that.
Like, I could have watched it in 20 minutes. They cut out the clapping, essentially.
But going back to what I was saying about like the way he spoke, so that was the key thing, especially during the whole election cycle, when he was going over to the Rust Belt, for example. Not saying any of those states are. Those are all great states.
What's the Rust Belt?
Rust Belt would be like center of the country, like Kentucky, Tennessee, those areas. They're very Southern values, very, I'd say, traditional way, conservative.
Is that
ways.
also like what they call the Bible Belt?
Bible Belt, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of all the factory and manufacturing jobs and all that stuff. So this is, I'm not going to say this because they're all, this is a generalization, and I hate making generalizations, but a lot of people, like the linguists, these scientists and linguists will say is that, oh, he spoke down to them so they could understand what he was saying. And not many presidents, like Barack Obama, would just speak in his typical well-educated, well-elucidated, articulated.
Yeah.
Yes, just everything well done and very pristine. But that's what, with Donald Trump, he was very to the point, brash, really choppy style.
Somebody they could identify with almost.
And it's like a tug of war where you want to resist because it sounds weird. The president is talking this way, but you just slowly pulled in one at a time with each choppiness.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's just that people were tired of this PC.
The populace. They wanted a populace.
No, they just wanted someone that would just say fuck every once in a while or something.
Well, that was the thing
do.
that was the thing that they mentioned a lot was like, oh, I like Donald Trump because he speaks his mind.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily make a good president.
I think you're bringing up a.
It was just rebellion. It was like in the drain the swamp.
He
went after Republicans in the heaviest Republican state and said, these people lied you into wars, they took you to Iraq, they spent all your money, and then he beat them in that and this was like early when there was like Jeb Bush and like 4 other people running against him for the Republican candidate. He beat them in one of the most Republican voting blocks in the country.
It's funny that you mentioned drain the swamp, because he's certainly draining the swamp.
Yes.
Of his own administration.
Yeah.
Well,
he has the highest turnover rate of any president in the last 40 years.
I've kind of got a list up here. He's fired 1, 2, 3. He's fired 5 people, and 1, 2, 3.
It's because he's running this presidency as a business.
Which
is completely new. It's a new concept. I mean, we had guys like Ross Perot that wanted to do the same thing. Like, I know some people that were going to vote for him.
Yeah,
because they wanted the presidency. They wanted the American government to run like a business, which that's what he's trying to do. So he's getting these people. He has his own faction, and if you're not loyal to him, which I'm not saying this is right in any way, but he has his own people and if he doesn't have that circle of trust around him, you're gone. He's gone.
And 16 people have resigned.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, these are residuals from Barack Obama's administration.
I mean, that's true. Some of them are. That's true. But like a lot of them aren't either.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like Rex Tillerson. Let's see. What was that dude's name? Michael Flynn. Yeah. Sean Spicer. Steve Bannon. Like some of these are people that he put in place.
I really think what's happening here is there's 2 competing factions that always are there during the presidency, during any part of our government, and it's corporate interests fighting each other. Because the corporate interests and the government interests are all intertwined.
The part of me that kind of like worries about this in such a way is like I think the loyalty thing that you were mentioning, I think that's definitely valid. But I think just in general, if Donald Trump doesn't think that you're doing what Donald Trump wants, or you're not doing a good enough job for sort of Donald Trump's whatever standards those are, you're gone. You either going to be fired or most of the time possibly sort of pressured to resign. So where I just want to finish the point real quick. Where I start to get worried is like, this is sort of reflective of like, I almost want to say some sort of like dictatorial type sort of way of doing things. Like
China
like
right now.
There's no way that you can have, an administration full of hundreds of people that are all going to make the exact decisions that Donald Trump would make if he was in that position. And nor is Donald Trump necessarily qualified in all of these different things to make the decision. Now, some of these people in these positions aren't qualified either. I don't think that it's just loyalty,
what
though.
What it seemed like to me was a lot of these people that came into his administration probably, and this is me making an assumption of what these people were thinking, but it just seemed like with Rex Tillerson and, Buchanan and whatever, like it just seems like they came in thinking, oh, like I would have more power in this position than with any other president because it's Donald Trump and he has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it just seems like he's kicking everybody out that disagree with him, and it's alarming.
I think the performance thing though is sort of part of the loyalty though. So like I guess you could say it's loyalty, but I don't think that it's strictly loyalty. I think it's just performance, whether that's a loyal performance or a disloyal performance, or that's not a decision he would have made or whatever it may be. It's
Look
just
at his
weird.
Press secretary, what's his face? That got
Sean Spicer.
Yeah, that got replaced with the Bulldog. What's her name?
Dude, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
She doesn't take shit from nobody.
Is a bamf.
Yeah.
Like
Dude.
that lady is. Whew.
And so
That's the person that should have had the job the whole
For
time.
real.
Of course. So this brings me to the question of, what if Donald Trump is actually just trying to help this country?
I mean, I think that's his intentions. I mean, I don't think.
But so let me add on to that question. And he's just been thrown into the Shark Tank.
Well, I mean, I think that has some validity. Like, I don't think
in the water.
Yeah, I don't think anybody becomes president. It's like, cool, let me fuck this up. Like, I think some people can get into the position thinking a little, maybe they realize that they're a little in over their heads. Like, I think that's a definite thing, and I think that's happening in the Trump administration,
I agree with
especially with just Trump himself.
What I'd like to, before I completely got distracted, what I was prefacing that I hate defending Trump for is let's talk about some of the good things we think he might have done.
The economy.
So far.
The economy has woo-woo.
Well, see, that brings up a very a hard question that I mentioned in our chat as we were discussing this topic. And, I mean, damn it, I looked, but I could not find sort of, an answer or some – like I could barely even find an article, to be honest. And I'm not saying it's not out there. Maybe I just missed it, or I'm Google searching the wrong things, or maybe the Google gods don't want me to find it.
That is a very potential thing.
But one of the questions – because and this came about especially when talking about jobs and the job performance, the unemployment rate, the labor participation rate, is like the left is sort of saying no, those are all Obama's policies that are sort of now coming to fruition, and you're seeing the results of Obama's policies. And then of course the right's like no, this is the Trump presidency. Obama's gone. Like we're a year and some change in. Like this is all Donald Trump, and like. My biggest question I have is like, where does one presidency end and the other begin?
Right.
Like, I mean, to some degree, yes, there is going to be some residual sort of overlapping of, the two administrations. And a lot of the times, when talking about job statistics, like they are delayed, like they're not real-time statistics. So they are, maybe a couple months behind. I don't know how far along, like how far behind are they? Like, Where can you start to, where can you stop giving credit to Obama and start giving credit to the next administration? Of course, discluding, I'm not talking about specifically Obama and Trump. I mean, any president. Like, where's the line drawn somewhere?
I don't use the economy as my thing to talk about for Trump. I think there's booms and busts, and it's just the way the economy tends to go with certain things.
It's the business cycle.
Yes, there are huge bubbles in a lot of our economy too. So I can't like.
I would say a good thing he did was the withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement. I thought that was a really, as he said, a poor contract for America.
It may have been, but honestly,
it's more of a show of
it's
force.
kind of.
But I don't think
scary.
that it's really like okay. Maybe sure, we should have left it, sure, but like I don't think that really did anything like substantially good.
It just saved more money, I guess.
Yeah, but if you look at how much we're spending on that versus all the other things we're spending on it, that's like literally like less than 1% of 1% of 1%.
What I will say for the economic side that I think has gone really well is he's encouraged a lot of companies.
Yes,
he has
come back.
A lot of companies to bring money back.
Apple even.
I mean, Foxconn, like they're.
There's huge investments going on inside of our country right now. Trying in the next like 4 to 8 years is what I've been reading is just how much manufacturing they want to bring back to this country. And then there's some good and bad import-export kind of bullying.
Well,
what's going on with the tariffs, man? Like that makes no sense to me.
The tariff on poor steel. That's probably what the Chinese steel.
Yeah, well,
but that's the thing though is like hardly any of our steel comes from there anyway.
Yeah.
Like we get most of our steel from Canada.
I think it's more about power positioning.
But it's also the goods that are made with that steel get taxed.
Well, yes, but that's the thing is like I just don't. It doesn't make any sense. It's not just to steel; it's the other things that he's talking about putting tariffs on. Like that doesn't.
It hurts the people.
It hurts us. It hurts the American consumer.
I feel like some of those things are like, hey, I'm sticking it to China.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, cool. Stick it to China, but don't hurt me in the process.
I agree. I mean, I agree.
Here's where I would say, like, I will let him run this, and because I ate my own words.
You have to.
No, I ate my own words on the same kind of topic 6 months ago when he put the solar panel tax.
Yeah.
And then that company announced like 2 or 3 months after he put that
moving to the United States.
So they're gonna move a facility to the United States, and that's one of these companies that I'm talking
It's
about.
positioning. It's power positioning.
There is still a demand that's, I guess, high enough for certain goods that it encourages people in the business ends to make the changes necessary, and he's willing to take the risk. Because am I going to hurt the consumer, or am I going to hurt the business?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose an argument like I know I was specifically looking at I know we've talked about Apple a lot, but I was specifically reading an article about this steel tariff and how it might affect like smartphone sales. And I guess maybe his goal is to encourage those companies to start manufacturing their phones in the United States. But I've also read previous articles like the U.S. just does not have anywhere near the infrastructure required to make let's just say the iPhone, just one single phone. Like that infrastructure doesn't exist here. Like China is light years ahead of us when it comes to just manufacturing. And yes, a lot of stuff went over there, but it went over there for reasons, cheaper labor. Yeah. It's a different societal sort of culture as well. Yeah, so, manufacturing jobs are not looked at, from a society level as high as, let's say, white collar jobs.
So yeah, the reason why I was going to add to that, their manufacturing culture is they probably make $4 a day, but that's significant to their culture.
But that's exactly. That's why I'm saying that is significant to what they would have made what they were doing before. So and that's the thing when people talk shit about like Africa, the Nike or whatever is making those shoes and paying those people just dirt money to make those shoes and they're working on whatever.
Family.
But at the same time though, if you ask those people, like their alternative is to make literally nothing farming.
Yeah. So
and I'm not saying that doesn't mean we should make improvements.
But no, hold on. Let me add to that. I want to add one more point to that. I was listening to an economist talk about that very issue. He's saying we have reached a point where we went through those steps.
Yeah, we
did.
Those
countries have yet to go through those steps. They have to go through those steps to get to the point where, like, for the example he gave, I think his name is Yaron Brooks. He made the example of Korea. Started off like $2 a day, but now look at them now. Equivalent to America now, Western society. They went through each of the building blocks to reach that point. It's the long-term goal.
And that's why we call them developing countries, is that you have to go through the development.
You can't just throw them, or they're just going to abuse it. They don't know what to do with that money.
Well, I mean, that kind of brought up another thought in my head. I was about to then I had a whole different thought. Man, that 80s good. So I thought about these like millennials and all these protesters and all this stuff with these gun rallies. And I listen to Ben Shapiro every once in a while, and he brought something up I thought was really hysterical. He played a clip from the rally, and it's this kid saying, school shootings is only a fear Americans have. And I just died on the inside. Like, these kids, and that's what's one thing with the left, is it's getting too delusional for me. They think that poverty and violence and death are a serious only problem of America. Like, do you not understand that we are in the wealthiest, like our poorest poor is one of the wealthiest people.
Oh yeah, poverty is in the world. Poverty has been conquered in a sense. It's still, of course, there's always can be fixed.
But there are serious issues in the world.
Yes.
We have it so good, and we treat little tiny things that we deal with like they're apocalyptic ideas. And I think we need to rationalize and realize how good it is. And yes, there are problems, but the way some of these people freak out and scream and lose their minds, and there's people in therapy over Donald Trump being president.
Well, hold on, but I want to make a point just to that, because in one sense we just discussed how you can't compare the developing countries to us because we went through that process already. So we've already sort of established sort of this different playing field.
Yeah.
So you also have to. I'm not saying that there are people going crazy over things that are probably stupid and they shouldn't be going crazy over. But
different.
To compare what our concerns are to what other concerns are in other countries, we already just established we're on a different playing field. So you can't make you can't make the argument in one direction while not making it in the same in the other direction as well.
I mean, I just think that you can't compare a school shooting school shootings in America is only an American thing. That's insane. When you have Middle Eastern schools being destroyed by terrorists and girls being raped and stolen out of their school in Nigeria and in certain areas of the world, that doesn't exist in America. And then they said something like, we're going to turn our schools into prisons? Are you an idiot? A prison guard keeps you in the motherfucker. This guard keeps you out of the motherfucker if you have guns. That's what, when they were talking about, armed security at schools, these people are just idiots. They don't think at all.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm
killing me, and all that's the outrage problem, and why I get angry when I have to defend Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say not to get too far on the school shootings, but I would just say you just have to look at our problems contextually within our society, and you can't necessarily do an apples to apples comparison of they have those problems. Like, our problems are not that bad now. Like, because we literally just made the argument, well, their problems of their developing economy and their jobs, like, you can't compare that to the United States because they're developing. Like, you have to make the argument both
it's like
ways.
Apples and oranges.
Exactly.
So yeah, but on Donald Trump's gun policies, he made a little flip to a little bit of a liberal view. Was it on bump stocks? Correct?
I feel like he's just pandering.
Oh, of course. I know. Definitely pandering.
Well, he's wanting to change the age to purchase a rifle to 21.
Yeah.
He's wanting to ban bump stocks. And I think that's it. I'm not sure if there's something in there about high capacity magazines.
And I think, like Travis said, that's definitely just pandering. So people will leave him alone eventually. It'll just disappear into the ether eventually. But
if it will even get passed.
Yeah. In Illinois right now, they're starting to confiscate guns. Like, if you're not 18.
Wait, you mean the place that has Chicago is,
Whoa.
What? in Colorado, and not a single stock was returned.
Dude, Colorado's like a baby Texas.
So I saw this pretty funny meme.
Colorado, somewhere one of these state sheriff's offices was like had these dispensaries waiting for people to bring them their
and not one showed up.
So I just want to add to that Illinois thing. So HB 1465, the state legislation of Illinois approved it, requires 18 to 20-year-olds to hand over or transfer ownership of heretofore legally possessed assault weapons, which the NRA ILA describes as commonly owned semi-automatic firearms, bans the sales of certain types of semi-automatics to individuals under the age of 21, makes owning such a weapon by persons under age 21 a Class 3 felony for a first offense and a Class 2 felony for a second offense.
Damn.
That's some serious shit.
I saw a funny meme. So it was a picture of a woman and a man, or just two people. The genders are irrelevant. But one person said, I'm turning in my gun to do my part and to stop gun violence. And the other person's like, yeah, I'm turning in my credit cards to do my part to stop identity theft. It's like,
stop my debt.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
So I've been doing some reading about the world in guns, and one article that hit my face really hard was that the UK right now has got a 23% year-over-year rise in gun violence, and there is no guns in the country allowed, right? You're not allowed to own a gun in the UK
Legally.
Yeah, legally, but year-over-year 23%.
No, I know correlation doesn't mean causation, but there are a lot of migrant people outside of the culture coming into the culture, not assimilating. So
I think that
year over year since when?
When you look at American shootings, they've actually been going down, and we have been making it seem as though they're going up year over year from 16 to 17.
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't look at that though as very important because you're looking at a very subsect of a subsect of a subsect of data.
They've had guns banned for like 20 years.
Yeah. I'd maybe want to look at that in the long term of that 20-year period. But like,
I just think of that as like when I saw that and when I was reading, it was from someone I know who lives in the UK, posted like something about violence is going up in the UK. I just started reading the article, but it just made me think, we don't, banning things does not make something go away ever.
look at weed.
Yeah.
Or drugs, period.
just anything, alcohol. Oh,
Something illegal just makes it go to the people who.
It just transfers it to the black market.
Well, yeah. Well, not necessarily that.
big achievement for Donald Trump in his first year. ISIS.
Yeah.
He sealed the deal on that pretty much.
My brothers and sisters been kicking some ass.
Yes. I guess he pushed it along further. I'll give him that much credit.
A lot of what he's done is removed a lot of the red tape. He's let commanders make decisions and this is probably my biggest credit that I will give to Donald Trump is that he has just straight up said, you know what, SecDef James Mattis, you got it.
Thing.
Do your thing. You make the decisions. I support you. And also James Mattis is just a bomb-ass general, or was a bomb-ass general, and now he's a great SecDef. He's really just removed a lot of the chains and a lot of the red tape from the military to basically get the job done.
I mean, Raqqa has been recovered.
I
So
think there are some problems and stuff he's done militarily. Like I
Oh, the bomb. That one bomb he dropped.
That didn't do anything?
Crazy. No, that was just like the idea of it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I feel like that was a statement to
it was
Russia more than anybody.
Oh, no. So what happened? So what happened with that? I think it was like first it was an Israeli fighter was shot down over in Syria by Syrian forces, and then Russia. Something happened to a Russian pilot. Was killed.
Yeah, he got shot down, and he called an airstrike on himself.
Yeah, which is
hey, hats off to that dude. I'm not fucking calling an airstrike on myself.
But no, now, like Syria over there, it's gotten even more complicated. The Kurdish people
it's all complicated.
Are trying. Well, now that ISIS, there's still a pocket of ISIS in the southeast area of Syria. But now you have like our force, the coalition forces. You have Russia on one side. So you have the Kurdish.
The thing is what's what's happening is that you've had sort of like this vacuum where ISIS sort of like filled it, and then now that it's going away, it's sort of drawing the ends of Kurdish, like the Kurdish forces. You have Syria and Russia over here. Like it's all just drawing them nearer and nearer and nearer. And at some point, it's gonna be like, okay, so what do we do now? Like, who's against who? Like, where does this go from here?
It's proxy warfare.
But that's where it's going to get really complicated. Is like, I don't know, like what happens? I don't know.
Well, I wish we just leave all that shit alone and just.
Well, yeah, but that's what happened. That's what created ISIS.
Well,
is that we just left and was like, cool, you guys take it from here. Like they were not ready to do that.
That's true. I guess, but we can talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, but
sure.
I will
further into that.
There's one thing I would like to talk about that was huge. I've personally seen the most effect from, and that's the tax reform.
True. Okay. Do y'all feel like that was like kind of like kibbles and bits handed out to the populace just to satiate them?
I mean, the way it's structured, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it could be. Well, that's why they are going for round 2 though.
Yeah, they need to.
So I think it could be looked at this sort of first round of tax reform was just sort of like the trial run. Like, okay, let's come up with something that we can just pass, satisfy some people for now, and then let's, buy ourselves a little bit more time. Maybe, I mean, I'm just speculating here. Buy ourselves a little bit more time, get a bigger plan, maybe a more substantial plan. And now that we know that we can pass something, then let's try to pass this sort of real plan. I don't think it's necessarily like game changing, like a huge big shift, but I think it does something, and something is better than nothing.
It's true.
Like it's getting less taxes is always better than getting more taxes.
Yeah, it's just that like the tax benefits for lower income households fizzle out by like 2025, and they are still retained. For,
one thing that
higher income.
Yeah, one thing that you've seen though, like already, is that you're seeing. You have the corporate taxes have been decreased, and you're seeing the corporations return give that money to their employees, bonuses and stuff like that. So as these more wealthier people, I mean, I'm not trying to give like the trickle down sort of like philosophy here, but as you see, like personally, the wealthier people are getting tax cuts, but they also pay the majority of taxes. They pay like some 45% of the taxes. I'm not saying that's they shouldn't pay maybe more or I'm for a flat tax personally, but you're seeing them get tax cuts. We're getting some tax cuts, at least for now. The corporations are getting tax cuts, and then you're seeing those wealthy people who run the corporations give money back to their people. So like I think you can't necessarily look at solely as okay, what was your tax cut number and just look at that alone. I think you also have to factor in the other benefits of okay, well, now I have a job. Now I got a bonus. Like I think you have to factor that in as well.
That I can agree with. But I mean, I'd like to see them go back though, like you were saying, and like go for a second round.
But is that enough? Is that just another political stance? Another political?
It depends on what he does. If this is just the only round, then I'm not that satisfied. But any tax cut makes me closer to happy.
Yes.
I can never argue with a tax reduction.
It's something, but obviously there could always be more tax cuts. Like I think I think for some people, I'm going to throw Alex in this bucket. Until you get to 0, there could always be more tax cuts.
Yeah.
But
throw me in that bucket too.
Yeah, I mean, wherever that line is, it's like, oh, suddenly people are magically happy. Like, it's arbitrary. You'll never find it. It may not even ever be there because once you cut it to here, okay, cool, that's the new norm. Now I want this. So I think most people will just sort of say, okay, cool, I got that. Now I want a little more. Now I want a little more. So, like,
always,
as I kind of said before, is it enough? I don't know, but some is better than none.
True. I'll give you that.
Another topic.
I didn't.
Another topic I kind of want to bring up on.
I had to pay.
We're all slaves to the government, and I wish they would stop taking Social Security out of my money.
Because you're not going to see it.
Also, big slaves to the big corporation you work for.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, not to get on that topic. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, because this has had some pretty big recent news, is North Korea.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
So after kind of like getting past the initial sort of like, oh wow, this is pretty. No, I'm saying like the new sort of like, okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
After sort of getting away or past that sort of initial sort of like, oh shit, this could be something big. I kind of thought about it some more. To me, this is typical North Korea shit. Like they do this because they want something. They do this all the time. They do something bad. They get told to stop it. They don't stop it. Then they keep doing it, and then they get told to stop it. Okay, cool, we'll stop it.
Child.
We'll stop it, but send us some aid.
Right.
And then they get sent aid. They kind of stop for a little bit, and then they just pick back up because like they know that if they do bad shit and then stop, they'll get shit for it.
So the snake just eats its tail.
I'm not saying that I'm pessimistic, but I'm cautious to say, is this just another sort of typical North Korean thing that happened?
But the stat is it would be the first president that had any kind of talks in 20 years, 20, 30 years.
I mean, it does bring a change to where, yes, now the phone is being answered, and that's something, sure.
I just imagine like Donald Trump going over there and getting Kim Jong Un in like a headlock,
and doing a little noogie on him.
Noogie. Yeah.
But one thing I am kind of concerned with, one thing I'm kind of concerned with is that I have been seeing reports of Donald Trump sort of saying perhaps he might be removing the troops from South Korea. Mm-hmm. And while I know that you're for that, what I think that does is it completely destabilizes the region. And then also, like, I think that's a victory for North Korea, if anything. It might benefit some other things. It might cost us less money and, all the things that it would obviously benefit. But one thing that it concerns me is that it gives more rhetoric and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More ammo for North Korea to say, look, we defeated the United States. We got them to leave the peninsula.
Yeah, it gives them more legitimacy.
Yeah, it gives them more propaganda to work off of. And I think that could potentially lead them to be a little bit more ballsier. Now they have no reason to stop doing things because we're not there ready to kick their ass at any moment. Like, I don't know. To me, I'm just, it's a very sticky situation.
We'll have to see.
So this would be, I don't know if like y'all realize or the listeners realize, y'all might. North and South Korea are still at war.
Technically, yes.
That's why they have a demilitarization zone.
But like if this could end that war, and
that would be historic.
But would you really trust the North Koreans to really end the war? Like even if they signed the paper, I don't think I wouldn't.
Any steps closer to actual peace and further away from violence.
In my opinion, it's not going to be actual peace as long as the Un family is.
As long as their current system is still in place.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't, whatever it is, if you want to call it peace or the war is over, whatever, I just don't trust them at all to ever, stop the things that they're doing.
You can look at the Middle East as an example of, like, peace being there tentatively, because, you had the Shah of Iran. There's dictatorships. There's totalitarian dictators.
Yeah, but you also had a lot of... You also had a lot of the Israeli wars and stuff like that. So I don't want to say there's really peace.
But it wasn't like balls out war at all times. It's kind of like all the time. All the time. It's always just all the time. Come on.
I mean,
it just depends on how you look at it. Like I mean, there's always been
pre-Iraq war, pre-Desert Storm.
Always been conflict. Well, I mean, like you said, the Israeli wars. You had the Afghan conflict with
Russia.
Russia.
All the intifadas and all that stuff.
That's true.
That was very much going on. Jordan,
and then there's
Egypt,
Islam as well. The split, the schism between Islam.
I have another thought that just hit me. Do you think if decides to
never gonna happen, he's got to
release his missiles and stop making missiles and get rid of all the nukes, that another Gaddafi situation might happen?
No, because they're not going to do that.
They
have no reason to.
It's not gonna happen.
They have no reason to. They only have what they're going to do is they're going to put a facade that they did, and they're going to do what the Iranians did, which is still do it and just keep it really fucking hidden. And they're not going to do any straight up tests. They're just going to be developing, and then when they get there, they're going to be like, we got it.
So the reason why a situation like Gaddafi would never happen in North Korea, because they're not challenging the International Monetary Fund or the World Banks by creating a new currency, which Gaddafi was doing. They're not challenging the petrodollar. There's no resources in North Korea.
Yeah, and also North Korea for the longest time. I mean, they're a hermit country. They just keep to themselves.
Islands.
So for as long as they keep doing that, obviously barring that they develop nuclear weapons and can actually launch them, that's literally the only reason why we would go in there to take them out, was to do that. Because, I mean, the entire history of the DPRK has always been developing nuclear weapons, and that's not changing. That will never change, because for them to get that literally will ensure their sort of stability in their future, basically. Mm-hmm. That's why I think they'll never stop.
I think there's so many more things that we could talk about. But for the sake of time, I think we should head to the quote of the week.
So first off, I want to correct myself. Korea is not an island; it's a peninsula. But
I missed that too.
It slipped through. But for this week, the quote of the week will be from, I don't like this guy, Lyndon B. Johnson. Has a little sketchy,
he's from Texas.
A little sketchy on when it comes to JFK and all that.
He killed JFK.
Words don't really matter. If you didn't know this was from Lyndon B. Johnson, it wouldn't matter. A good president does with executive power what Pablo Picasso did with paint. He takes bills into new and slightly discomforting territory. He puts extra eyes on policies. He moves the mouth of the Supreme Court from where it should be to where it must be.
I mean, in a way, I could see a lot of correlations with that with Donald Trump. Whether the policies you think they're good or bad,
nuances.
I mean, people are talking the shit out of them. I mean, I can't not say that. For all the biases that the media has, I mean, at least they're talking about this rather than what the fucking Kardashians are doing.
True. But at the same time, that leaves my conspiratorial mind is what is he doing that's not in the media? Because the media concentrates on Russia right now. What is he doing in the other countries, say Syria?
Not just,
you don't hear
just
about,
Russia.
Oh no, but you don't really hear about any of his other policies. You don't hear about what he's doing. I was looking at a list of all the things he's accomplished this year, and it's I haven't even heard about any of these things because the media doesn't talk about them.
Well,
you have to go look for it yourself.
Also, I don't like this. I just don't like the fact that there's executive actions.
Oh, of course. I mean, I think that's more of a recent thing. I really saw it with Barack Obama really pushed the whole executive order.
No, it was before that.
But I guess
it was before that.
It was before I was cognizant of politics.
What an executive order was, yeah.
Excessively has gotten worse.
Yeah.
Worse and worse.
I guess that's
true.
That's true.
Definitely got worse.
It was the worst under Obama, but there's definitely a likely chance that Trump could exceed that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how he will exceed our spending deficit.
So, in the beginning of this quote, a good president does with executive power what Pablo Picasso did with paint. Picasso was very nuanced. It was very precise. Every stroke had a meaning behind it, and that's what these presidents, the president, has to start reeling it in. And at one point, on one side, I think he's doing that by being as brash and just as loud as possible, and he's just being subtle with the way he's maneuvering it. But it seems like it's loud and crazy and unintelligible. But there's always that little nuance he has behind it, like with the guns we were talking about. I think there's a reason why he came out, because he knows he's just going to blow over. And, it's just another thing he said. So, with the tweets, too.
I just was looking this up just because it was interesting. Not that I wanted to start a whole tangent on it, but Woodrow Wilson has passed, besides FDR, but FDR had roughly a little over 3 terms. But Woodrow Wilson has the most executive orders with 1,803.
Woo!
Obama, within, if we want to say the modern era, so let's say after World War II, Truman has 907. I guess in the last few decades, we'll go, let's see, Ronald Reagan has 381.
Wow. Didn't know that. Yeah.
Barack Obama has signed 276, which was less than Bush, which was also less than Bill Clinton, also less than Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter. Good. Yeah.
Well, Woodrow Wilson was another one of those presidents. I'm really glad you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I thought that was. I was really curious about that. Interesting.
I think some of them, it's like the number is one thing, but like what they're actually.
So, like the scope of the orders.
It's that the media's throwing out that idea of, he's been doing this, like the right side, of course, the left side's been doing this with Trump. He just keeps on signing all these orders.
But like the reason why I was mentioning is because like his point was like the executive orders, like the president doing most, if not, you could probably you may argue all things through executive action is not sort of how the system was supposed to be set up.
No, it's not.
So I think. Yeah, you might have a point, and that would take some extensive research to look into the scope of all the executive orders. But
we just look at like the Dreamer Act.
Yeah, but I like I said, I just think his point was more or less just the president circumventing sort of how laws are supposed to come about.
And that's one topic we didn't really talk about is immigration, which he's done a good job of getting the criminals out.
At the same time,
fucking a lot of other people up though.
I was actually looking at some stats about. I know we're at the end of the episode.
The Porchers have gone down.
But the people that have been deported for immigration reasons, the reasons why they were deported, or other than obviously being an illegal immigrant, but like how they're caught. Like some people can just be caught for just straight up being illegal. Others are caught when they commit some other crime. But the majority of people that have been deported because they've been caught with a DUI. The next being a traffic ticket. So speeding or hitting somebody or whatever. I think purely for immigration, like they were just picked up for being illegal was number 4 out of all the reasons. But I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting stat. Well, that takes us to the best part of the show, of course, the Triangle of Cards. All right, well, I'm not going to go and describe the game again and again and again, but you guys know how this goes. We have created some subject statements, and we must pick the cards that we find the most funny, and you get points for that. Yeah, I'll just chalk it up to that.
Cool.
So who wants to start us off?
I can start us off. According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's blank blowing in the wind are clear examples of his presidential ineptitude.
Say that one more time.
According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's blank blowing in the wind are clear examples of his presidential ineptitude.
I wish I could take a word off this card.
According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's blank blowing in the wind are clear examples of his presidential ineptitude. Y'all remember when they were like, is Donald Trump able to walk downstairs?
2 scoops.
No, that was Hillary.
2 scoops of ice cream over 1.
No.
Yeah, he was like, can you walk downstairs? Is he fit to be president?
That's another thing we didn't talk about. Hillary Clinton, putting her in prison. What happened?
Man.
I mean, she should have gone to jail.
Yeah. It's money, but it's power and money. Deal with that.
According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's dead parents blowing in the wind.
Oh my God!
Examples
Are they dead?
Presidential ineptitude.
Are they? Oh my God! That's awful.
I know his dad's definitely dead.
Holy shit!
I don't know about his mom. I think his mom is.
According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's overcompensation blowing in the wind are clear examples of presidential ineptitude. That's a good one. That's a good one too.
This is a good statement,
That's a good
though.
one. According to most news outlets, pictures of Donald Trump's man-meat blowing in the wind are clear examples of his presidential ineptitude. These are all
I don't envy
really
you, Travis.
good. I'm gonna go with overcompensation.
Oh, dead parents, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, I think
The one realistic thing could be his man meat.
I think that's 4 in a row.
I think that might be.
Maybe. I don't know.
Holy shit!
I'd have to review the tape, sir.
All right. I guess
All right,
I'll go.
Carl.
Yeah.
Go.
An anonymous source believed to be Donald Trump's official hairstylist has reported that Donald uses hair products secretly blended with blank to sculpt his luscious do.
Oh, man.
I don't have a car that would make sense in that at all.
Oh, trade in,
Trade in.
bitch.
It's not on there. You want me to read it again?
No.
We should do we have background music for this? I know, right?
It may not be playing right now. I can't think of
Silence is golden. All right.
How many cars are I trading to?
2. So his hairstylist has reported that Donald uses hair products secretly blended with embryonic stem cells to sculpt his luscious do.
That makes a lot of sense.
That would definitely piss off the
That's
left.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, the conservatives.
He
Oh
just, like,
God.
He just like finishes a press conference and he finishes and he just like pulls out a tube and it just says embryonic stem cells on there. He's just like,
Bathing in dead babies.
Oh Lord. The Donald uses hair products secretly blended with mouth herpes to sculpt his luscious do. How do you like harvest that? And
Gotta
how do you get it
scrape it
thick?
off.
Maybe you get it from a stripper. I don't know.
Yeah.
Petri dish.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh God. His hairstylist has reported that the Donald
You almost don't want to say it.
The Donald uses hair products secretly blended with nubile slave boys
Oh, jeez.
to sculpt his luscious do. That's dark, literally and figuratively.
Just like put them all in a blender and then.
Oh man.
So I'm gonna go with stem cells.
We're gonna catch some shit for that. All right. Well, I
For
win.
real.
Yeah. All right. So Donald Trump passed a new executive order banning blank by all Muslims.
Say it one more time.
Donald Trump passed a new executive order banning blank by or from all Muslims.
This sucks.
You can trade if
Yeah,
you need.
Let's just go with
I've had
that.
crappy
All right.
cards.
All right. So Donald Trump passed a new executive order banning asshole pomegranates that are hard to eat. What the fuck is that?
What kind of sect of Islam is that?
Pomegranate.
The Shia?
Didn't I swear to God, when that card was played in one other episode, everyone was like, "What's that?"
Oh yeah, I do remember we looked up on Urban Dictionary.
I don't want to. Yeah, I know what a pomegranate is. Is that like a pomegranate that you've shoved up your butt?
Let's go through the real source. Let's go. Urban Dictionary.
What's them Google say?
Ass
All right, Donald Trump passed a new executive order banning my vagina by all Muslims. You know, that actually, I could see that maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Donald
Go ahead.
Trump passed a new executive order banning eugenics by all Muslims.
Huh.
Huh.
That's
I'm gonna go with my vagina.
Whoop whoop.
What is going on?
Isn't that like 6 in the past episode?
I think so.
Something like that. Something crazy. So, an ass pomegranate for all you listeners that are very curious about this. When a girl has such a terrible malignant case of herpes on her buttocks that eventually explodes, creating fresh, delicious palm.
Why did you
Why? I could have gone my entire life without knowing that.
You can blame the game. Jesus Christ. All right.
I would have not suggested you have read that.
Yeah.
Well, then you can just go beep over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the oh my gosh, I should have done anyway. All right. Who hasn't gone?
It's mine.
Do it.
Whoa, wait, someone changed mine?
Wait, what?
Someone changed my tweet, I think.
It didn't make sense the way it was written.
Okay, you changed it. Why do you change?
Tell him.
Anyway.
Tell me.
Surprise! Just read it.
A Trump official has been removed from Twitter for tweeting blank after the last NATO meeting.
So that's gone and that's gone.
I could have risked it and traded all my cards in, but screw it.
I think mine made sense. I don't know if it's entirely funny, but it
Mine's
makes sense.
okay.
Mine's perfect.
Now I kind of want to take my card because now I know you got a good one, and then just trade it and play whatever I got.
Right. So a Trump official has been removed from Twitter for tweeting pulling out after the last NATO meeting. That's like actually
Pulling out of who?
Whoever played
What
that
was her name?
won.
Stormy Daniels or whatever?
Oh my God, no,
So-
pulling out of NATO too. Like that's,
Oh.
that makes a lot of sense. Oh wow. A Trump official has been removed from Twitter for tweeting actually taking candy from a baby after the last NATO meeting.
I would have supposed that'd be a picture.
Yeah.
You can tweet pictures.
Yeah, you can tweet pictures.
A Trump official has been removed from Twitter for tweeting cheating in the Special Olympics after the last NATO meeting.
He confessed.
Damn.
I'm gonna go with pulling out.
Whoop whoop.
Damn.
That was the obvious winner. Damn, you're now 1 point under Alex.
What the?
You have a
Whoa.
commanding
I mean, he had sweep
third place
in the last episode and this episode. So
Yeah.
It's going up, and then it'll just come crashing right back down.
So you know, like, you only have like a week or so, a couple weeks to not be last place.
Well, what are we doing for it?
I mean, you'll find
We're
out,
doing-
but it won't be
we're
fun.
We're not gonna tell the person who's in last place until the day of.
Well, no.
Yeah,
That's
so, like-
that's not happening.
So like the last game.
You
so
signed the consent form.
Yeah, you
don't
signed-
remember that?
You don't remember that? You were drunk when you did it. No, I'm just kidding. So like the last episode before the 1 year special, the rest of the people will come together, decide what you have to do.
I don't know about that.
We're gonna think of something.
Something good.
Well, but it may not be you. You could have a few.
I mean, it could be like chugging pickle juice or something like that.
Yeah.
So
You could have a few sweeps.
let's hear the scores.
Oh.
I'd like to hear it.
Oh, you want to bask in your glory of third place?
Yes.
All right. Well, the scores are currently myself in first place with 37. Might I add a commanding lead. Alex in second place with 29 points. Carl very close in third place with 28 points, and Travis with 25 points.
it's not that far back.
That's 3 points. You
He just got 4.
you got like 2 weeks.
Is it 2? Is it really 2 weeks?
About
Nah.
it's like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We got a few weeks.
We got like a month.
Regardless,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving on.
I-
Guys, I think we had like a lot that we could talk about, and we didn't want it to just be the standard shit show on Donald Trump that you typically get. I think there are some good things, and I think looking objectively that we need to relax a little bit and not hate everybody around us. And
I think now is the time for us to start our Twitter campaign to get Donald Trump to just shave it off.
oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys this picture of Donald Trump bald.
it
It's-
looks pretty damn good.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still pretty bad.
It's not terrible. Oh, come on. It's not terrible.
So here is Donald Trump with no fucking hair.
Kind of looks like the like the kingpin.
let me see.
Can't see.
Oh, dude, he needs to shave his head.
Yeah,
Right?
He looks just
Like
Lex Luthor. He looks like Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
he looks like he could be the leader of the X-Men.
for real.
Yeah, come on, Trump.
Do it. Shave your head.
If you're
Shave
Hashtag
that pussy hair.
hashtag shave Donald's head.
yes,
Make it trending. Let's make it happen.
We can
Ooh,
do it.
Let's do one of those petitions on change.org. Because, like, if it gets a certain number of signatures, like, they legally have to address it.
Yes, the White
We
House
should
has to
totally
address it
fucking do that.
yes.
for the sake of humanity.
Hashtag shave the Donald Dome.
Yes.
Donald Dome.
Donald Dome.
Chrome to the dome.
The Donald Dome.
Well, in addition to kind of close this out, I did want to take a second and address you all on the camera.
Oh.
When you guys are watching this,
Oh.
you guys can ask questions, say your comments. You can ask your questions. You can say your comments.
You better drop the mic.
Please be involved in the show as we record them because we want to eventually feature you guys somewhere in here about asking questions and saying your opinions and just let us know what you think. So next time you guys watch this, hopefully you are watching this. If not, we are going to go live Monday nights, so clear your schedules for that. But yes, we're going to go live, participate, be a part of the show. We love you.
Hopefully we'll fix our stream issues. I know we've been having issues all night tonight. I will work on that.
We're working on that. Perhaps we need to invest in a new camera.
That shit gives me an aneurysm.
Definitely. Dude, guys, we're doing all of this on our own. So every single piece of hardware, everything, like we did not start with video for a reason. It is
Expensive.
It's expensive. It takes
And
a lot
hard.
of work. And I am literally running everything off of one computer and producing and recording live. So the more that you guys can help us out, the better.
The better show that you get.
So don't be afraid to head to our website at www.bermudat.com, and you can go to the donate page and give us some support, either monthly or a one-time payment, just to give us any little bit to help the show that you love so much. It goes right into the show, as well as you can find our sponsors like Blue Apron Party Club.
Blue Apron Party Club.
Blue
Jesus
Frog
Christ.
and Blue Apron are both on there. I got it mixed up. Blue Frog Party Club and Blue Apron are both on our website, where you can click their links straight from the page and use either our discount Bermuda at checkout with Blue Frog Party Club, or you can use the link to get some free 3 meals from Blue Apron.
Yes.
And that helps go right to help.
Yes, we'll be quite transparent. We do get, if you click our links and use our things, we do obviously get a kickback for that. But that's basically you get stuff for free and then we get some, stuff. So it's a very easy way for you guys to help us out if you don't want to donate to us with just straight up cash. You can also check us out on all of our social media platforms, Instagram at Bermuda Triangle Podcast, Twitter at Bermuda T Podcast, and Facebook.com/Bermuda Triangle Podcast. Also, if you guys just want to contribute to the website in any way, you don't want to comment, you want to sort of have a long form way to get your thoughts out, you can email us at podcast@bermudat.com, and you can find out how to become more involved in the show.
Gra.
All right, amigos. We've been
Amigo.
it's been another fantastic, wonderful, amazing episode of the Bermuda Triangle Podcast, where interesting topics get lost in good conversation.
We'll see you guys next time.
Woo! That is low.
Oh, my ear folds. Woo!
We're still live. They're getting the post show. You're getting the free post show. No.
No one wants to see that post show. All right, guys.